very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. I'm me, Adebayo. Well, tonight on the show, we will be talking about the Euros, the preparation for the 2024 Paris Olympics. We will also take a look at recent appointments, managerial appointments in football, things happening on the domestic scene as well. Then, of course, the big one, the Super Eagles now know their foes in the qualifying phase for the next Africa Cup of Nations. And it's familiar foes, teams they have played against in the World Cup qualifier. So we talk about all of that, all for you on the show. We hope to have a robust conversation around all of these things that I just mentioned. Well, it's a two-man show. My colleague Osno Kunakwan is ready as we take you on the street.
Shout out to everyone joining us on the show tonight. Still an action-packed sort of sports. Everywhere I turn, there is a sporting action going on. Right here in England, we're monitoring what's going on at Wimbledon. There is the Euros, and tomorrow it will come down for everything. Spain and Germany, one of the power horses in European football, will exit that competition. And then Portugal and France, two teams that haven't really shown their potential, have to contend in the quarterfinals. So I cannot wait for the quarterfinals of the Euros. We now know the players that will represent Nigeria in the women's football event at the Paris Olympics. I like the list. I like it. But in terms of preparation, what has the country done to ensure that those ladies go out there and give us a good representation? We'll talk about that one on the show tonight. You mentioned managerial movement in the Nigeria Premier Football League. I love it so much because, in a way, what is happening with Coach Finidi George and Coach Yemi Olarewaju, kind of tells me the Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola story. So I can't wait for the league to begin. Let's see if the boss will, tell the prodigy how it's done, or we'll see the other way around. Exciting things happening with football in Nigeria, and we'll talk about it tonight on the program.
All right, we'll talk about it on the program. All right, let me quickly introduce our guest in the Lagos studio. This lovely Thursday evening, Damilola Onifade joins us now. Damilola, greetings to you. Once again, very good to have you join us on the show. Especially on a day where there's really so much to talk about.
Yeah, really so much to talk about. It's a pleasure to be here. And good news, Finidi is back, and I'm quite impressed, really. Quite impressed that he's not sitting back. The disappointment of the Super Eagles job, could hit you so hard that you find it so hard to recover. But I love the fact that he's raised himself up, take up another job, and trying to prove himself that he's good enough.
All right. I don't want us to get into the Finidi issue just yet. I would have loved to ask whether or not should they have waited a while. But when we get to that point, we talk about. We want to start the show differently tonight. We want to start talking about the Olympics. We started the countdown on the show. I'm going to go across now to let you know the number of days remaining before the Olympics. And if you listen to Austin, he said, because we have to put Nigeria in perspective. If you look at the number of days we have left, and you look at the preparations we've been having, a lot of question marks. But for every nation going to the Olympics, let's just show it to you quickly. Paris 2022. It's going to happen this month. It is 22 days. 22 days to go to the Olympics. Wow. Just about 3 weeks. And usually, I always like to ask our guests, our partners, the same question when we talk about big and major sporting events. So Damilola Onifade, before you to Austin, are you feeling the vibes? You look at generally in terms of preparation for the host, then Team Nigeria, how we're preparing. When you look at the host, you look at in terms of organization and how they are preparing for the games, that's true, and maybe other countries around. Then special focus and emphasis on Team Nigeria.
I think for the host, they're preparing a lot of preparation, particularly in the area of not just facilities, also trying to ensure that there is adequate security, and also to ensure that there are no unforeseen incidents around the event. We've had that all year round. And I think they're doing a good job so far. How well they've done, we'll see it when the event actually starts. Most of the things they are doing now are projections, not really tested. So we'll leave that at that. For Team Nigeria, It's not unusual what we have. I mean, I don't think we prepare better than we do. When everybody's preparation is winding down is when we start traveling. It's not unusual. I think sometimes we take it for granted that we're talented. And most times that's why we've not been able to replicate success and repeat it over time. Because oftentimes we get these medals because of the talent that we have, the natural talent that our athletes have in them, not necessarily because we've done the right things. Because really, to win an Olympic medal, it's common knowledge. You need a four-year plan. I'm not even sure we have a 2 or 4 months plan towards this Olympic. We just do things haphazardly, and it is what it is. I am hopeful that some of our athletes will still get some medals, and we'll come back and celebrate as if we've done what we are supposed to do. And then 4 years' time, both of us will have this conversation.
Do you see us surpassing 1996?
Anything can happen when it comes to Nigerian talent. I think we have the athlete to do it, but if we've done enough to help them to get it done, it's a different story entirely. Because when the competition really starts, then the investment will show.
All right. And pictures that were on screen before we came back to the studio, workers on site putting finishing touches to venues for the Olympics. You're looking at the 3x3 basketball court. You're looking at some of the facilities that will be used, infrastructure. Damilola talking about security and all of those things. Back in those days when we were growing up, in the time of our parents, they would say, see Paris and die. I don't know if it's like that now. Also, it's close to that place. I don't know if people still feel that way, but then I don't think you can fault France for how they've prepared for this Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, you see Paris and die. I was in Paris in 2017 and 2018. It's a beautiful story. I didn't die. So, whoever brought up that talk was just trying to say it's a beautiful city, and if you go there, you might just, it's to take your breath away. But it's a beautiful city. And I like the fact that the organizers, they want people coming to France to feel the country. So yes, it's tagged the Paris Olympics, but you will be going around the country. For instance, there will be football events in Bordeaux, there will be events in Lille, travel as far as Florence. You'll go around the country, you know. So it's a beautiful time for football. I don't have any doubts that Paris will do a fantastic job. You know, since when they've been preparing for this. It's not just yesterday. I remember when I visited in 2017, that was when they were going for the bid. At that time, they even looked like they were ready to welcome people to the city to host the Olympics, you know. So I believe they will do a good job. I believe that we will be treated to a fantastic sporting event. We're looking forward to, you know, seeing new records, and also records will be broken, new ones will be made. I hope that Team Nigeria, just as Damilola said, we just go into every competition and just believe that something will happen, because if it does, we will cheer. You know, for instance, we've got expectations. The hurdles for women in Nigeria and is the world record holder. It's only, you know, normal and a sense of patriotism that when such an athlete is competing, we will support and be expectant. So Tobi Amusan, all the best. But what sort of program did we tie around Tobi Amusan right from when she broke that world record to let the world know that the next time she's getting on the tracks to compete, that it is the entire Nigeria that is behind her? What sort of program? Blessing Oboro Dudu was on the podium for silver. What did we do to let people know that when next you see this wrestler from Nigeria, she will be going for gold? Nothing. Esebrume won bronze, and she has always shown us that she can compete at the world stage. She's always giving those top long jumpers a run for their money. How much support? We've been talking about these things over and over and over again, but some people aren't just listening, you know, and that's why sometimes it gets tiring. But you know what? We won't stop, because that's our work as the media. You asked Damilola if we can do better than 1996. The NOC believes we can do better. Okay, show walking. It's not, let me use what is really nice. It's not cha-cha-cha. It's show walking. What have you done to come out to say you will surpass what we did in 1996? So that's the issue. But you know what? let's get on with the show and keep our hopes alive. We like what we've seen with the Super Falcons. They have released the list of players that will represent Nigeria at the Olympics. Yes, every now and then I look for updates. I think the NFL wants to say this and say that, but nothing. But now we know the list. So fasten your seatbelt. We're going to have a long travel to Ottawa in Canada. Yes, that's where football content creator and brand manager IoT Ogala is standing by to dissect the Super Eagles, the Super Falcons list. He loves women's football. He's also the founder of Eagles Tracker, the home of Nigerian football. He loves the Super Eagles also. So he will be taking a look at that draw that was done for the 2025 AFCON also. But first, is ladies first. So good evening, IoT. It's good evening in London. I don't know what it is in Canada, maybe afternoon. Welcome to Sports Tonight.
Yes, good evening, Austin. It's just past 4 p.m., so I guess we can call it evening. Thank you.
That's right. Good one. Awesome. Fantastic. So you've seen the list for the Olympics for the Super Falcons. You like what you saw?
I must say I really like what I've seen. You know, the Super Falcons are a team that we have high expectations for. Like you rightly mentioned, you know, they've been making us proud, competing with the best of the best over the past few years. We watched the last World Cup. So with the coach only having 18 players that he could select with 4 alternates, it was always going to be tough. You know, some players were always going to miss out. But after the list was released yesterday and I read through, I honestly cannot have any complaints about it. I think the coach has selected who he feels are his best legs, you know, and I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do over there in France.
Halimatu Ainde, that's one player that has shown that she can actually compete and keep a place in that team. But sad news, she's just announced that she will not be part of the Olympics due to an injury that she picked playing for her club. Your team, when you look at the alternate list, who can replace Halimatu Ainde?
You know, the alternate list has Jumoke Alani, has Ifeoma Onumonu, you know, has Marufa, and has, I forget the last player right now, but the thing is, there's no direct like-for-like replacement for Halimatu Ainde on the alternate list. So it would be interesting to see how the coach decides to select his replacements. I would probably say maybe he goes with Jumoke Alani because she's a defender. And even though Halimatu is a defensive midfielder, sometimes, you know, if you have versatile players, a defender can step into that defensive midfield role and still do a decent job. So that could potentially be the option. But another player that could be his selection would maybe be a player like Gift Monday. That's the 4th player I was forgetting. You know, he might just want to bring in some dynamism in the attack a little bit. But Ainde is definitely going to be a miss for us. The positive thing, though, is that, you know, with the last World Cup, we saw the rise of Deborah Abiodun. You know, so even though as experienced and important as Ainde is to the team, I have full confidence in our young star, Abiodun, that she'll be able to step up and, you know, show herself good at that tournament.
Awesome. Let me hand you over to Yemi in Lagos.
All right, IoT, it's good to have you join us, and listening to you, it does appear that you're very optimistic about the chances of the ladies. Quick question, though. Do you think that there exists a gap now between the Super Falcons and the top football playing nations globally?
Thank you for that question, Yemi. I will say on paper, you would say, yes, there exists a gap. I mean, the teams that are drawn in our group, Spain is the ranked number 1 in the world. You know, we have Japan ranked number 7 and Brazil ranked number 9. But when it actually gets to the field of play, when the ladies step on the pitch, I believe that we have enough quality in our team to compete against any team in the world. We saw it at the 2023 Women's World Cup. You know, when we played in the round of 16 against England, England are ranked 3rd in the world, I believe. You know, and honestly, you know, we were a kick away from defeating England in that tournament. I ended up getting to the final. So on paper, there is a gap. But honestly, when I look at the quality of the players that we have, I believe that we can compete. And that gap is really small, if at all it exists.
All right. Let me put Damilola on. I'm going to go across in a bit. But you already know who's in, who's out, and who's on the alternate. What do you make of the list?
I think it's a good list. A few surprises here and there, like Onumonu not being on the list was a major surprise for me because this has been a lady that even when some people feel she's not supposed to start for the Falcons, I mean, Waldrums always starts her. So I would have said that she's one of those that is nailed on to be on the list. So to see on the alternate was quite a surprise. I think apart from that, I think the list is almost as one would expect. And I agree with IoT completely. I think there is enough talent in this team. But if we've done enough to be able to upstage those teams in our group, comparing the preparation that all the 4 teams have had is a different story entirely. But talent-wise, I think the Super Falcons are good enough.
All right, talent-wise, that's what everybody's saying. Let me just quickly go across and give our viewers the chance to see who's in and who's out. I'll run through the list quickly as fast as I can. Goalkeepers, you have Chamaka Nadozie, Tochukwu, Olueyi, 2 goalkeepers in the 18-man squad. All right, let's quickly flip and go to the midfielders now. I will quickly do that, pick out the midfielders in the squad. We have Deborah Abiodun, Alimatu Aide, who's going to miss out now because of injury, Christy Uchebe, Jennifer Echegidi, and Tony Payne. These are the midfielders in the team. Let's go quickly. Osinachi Ohale is in there as a defender. Oluwatosin Demei, Michelle Alozie, Nicole Payne, and Chidima Okeke. These are the defenders. For the forwards, Rashida Ajibade, Esther Okoronkwo, Asisat Oshola, Uchenna Kanu, Chiwedu Ezo, and Chi Doyerem McLean's. She plays in Russia, by the way. So these are the players we have. And, you know, listening to everybody, you can agree it appears like this is the best we can put out. But Damilola, before I yield back to Austin, let me just quickly ask you this. How far do you think the girls can go?
How far?
You've tried to juxtapose
now that's a difficult
talent and preparation. You try to make a comparison. But having known all that you know, how far do you think they can go?
I think our best chance is for the coach to be very realistic with himself and find a strategy that will work for this team. As talented as we are, you must consider with the fact that if you're playing the world champion, you're at a disadvantage already.
Can't go toe-to-toe.
I mean, if you're playing Brazil, you have to be careful. And Japan is also not a pushover. We are the least ranked in that group. So on paper, we have to understand that for every of the 3 group games, we are the underdogs. If we get our strategy right with the talent, I think we might be able to do as well as we did at the World Cup. Don't have to get to the quarterfinal or semi-final, but I think Nigerians will not be disappointed at the end of the Olympics if we get the balance and the coaches get their strategy right. All right.
A very good answer from Damilola, not actually telling me how far he thinks the team will go. I think they will do well. But of course, it's difficult at this point. Maybe after a game or 2, we might be able to see. And the Olympics is quite a bit different from the World Cup in terms of how it's arranged. So we'll see what happens with that one. We need to pause now and go on a break. IoT is still with us. We'll still continue with this conversation. At some point, we'll begin to talk about the Super Eagles as well. So let's go on a break. We'll return for more of Sports Tonight. Welcome back. We've been talking about the ladies, the preparation for the Olympics. Let's switch things up now and talk about the guys. In a bit, I'm going to go across the screen to talk about the groups for the qualifiers, talking about the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, the AFCON, and it does appear the Super Eagles are in with familiar foes. They are in with teams that some fans would love them to give a spanking so that people can know, like they say in local parlance, we're actually not mates. If not that we slipped up. Some will say it that way. I'll go across now, talk about it, then of course we look at it. So in Group A, you have Tunisia, Madagascar, the Comoros, and the Gambia. In Group B, Morocco, Gabon, Central African Republic, and Lesotho. All right, let's move quickly as we can. The first of Egypt, Cape Verde, Mauritania, and Botswana. In Group D, of particular interest to us, where you have the Super Eagles in with Benin Republic, Libya, and Rwanda. All right, so we'll talk about all of this later on. Let's go to Group E: Algeria, Equatorial Guinea, Togo, and Liberia. In Group F, Ghana, Angola, Sudan, and Nigeria Republic. Group G, Cote d'Ivoire, Zambia, Sierra Leone, and Chad. Group H, DR Congo, Guinea, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. In Group I, you have Mali, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, and Eswatini. Group J, Cameroon, Namibia, Kenya, and Zimbabwe. Group K, South Africa, Uganda, Congo, and South Sudan. I'm wondering why South Africa wasn't our group. I would have loved to have them, so we can heal from what has just happened. All right, Senegal, Burkina Faso, Malawi, and Burundi, of course, makes up Group L. And of course, you know, we have the expanded Nations Cup. We're going to have 24 teams in all of that. IoT is still with us, so let me just quickly get one question across, and I'll yield to Austin. Probably has a few more questions to ask. I don't know if you feel like the way some of us felt when we saw the draws and we saw Rwanda and Benin Republic, and like they say in local palace, it's good. Oh yeah, come and take.
I mean, I definitely felt like that. You know, familiar faces, but at the same time, there were faces that I personally was maybe not too excited to see, especially Benin Republic, because the last time we saw our dear Super Eagles, you know, they received a beating at the hands of Benin Republic. And I mean, they have a coach that has a point to prove every time he's going to face Nigeria. They also have players on their team that are of Nigerian heritage, Nigerian descent, players that were born in Nigeria on their team. So they're always going to want to prove a point against us. And while we do believe in the Super Eagles and we believe in the quality that we have, I think that we have to be wary. If we don't get things right, it could be a tough one for us.
I totally agree with you, Ayo, because if you take a look at the team, I mean, back in the day, 5-7 years ago, we wouldn't discuss this group. We will not even bother. But now, it's a problem. I mean, we've got a group that's got Rwanda and Benin Republic, and there's a cause of, for worry. So, I mean, no, don't say it again that you were hoping to see South Africa. People will be jumping out. Are they really? Because now when we see South Africa, we start shaking. That's the state of our football. But, IoT, if you look at the team, what we've seen with the World Cup qualifiers, because it seems the momentum from the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire is already gone, is dead. With what you've seen with the qualifiers, the lessons, have we learned anything? Are you still worried that this is a group that we might still struggle to qualify from?
Honestly, Austin, like you said, some years ago, we wouldn't even be worrying or thinking about this group. But I have to be honest with you, my confidence level is not as high as I would like it to be. I don't want to say I am worried, but I am cautious. Benin Republic, like I said, last time we saw our Super Eagles, they beat us. Rwanda, we haven't faced them in World Cup qualifying yet, but we know that currently they are ahead of us on the table, so they are doing pretty well. And Libya, while a lot of fans, might see Libya and think, oh, of course we're going to beat Libya. If you look at their record, in their last 10 matches, they've only lost one game. So these are teams that, while we might expect Nigeria to just walk over them, they are in a good form, they are performing well. And like you asked, the lessons, I don't know if we've learned any lessons. We currently don't have a coach. We don't know how we are going to set up. I mean, there's things that we definitely need to fix before we get into these fixtures.
IoT, I want to let you go. What are your final words? Because I thought you were going to make me feel a bit better. I don't know how I feel. I'm clueless when I talk about the Super Eagles this time. Maybe you might just wrap up with the Super Falcons so we can just cheer up or whatever.
I mean, I would say I wish I could lift your spirits, but my spirit also needs a little bit of lifting, and I think it's only the team that can do that right now. But for the Super Falcons, I am optimistic. While we are in a tough group, we are in, probably the toughest group at the Olympic Games. I think we have a decent chance of qualifying and going far. I'm not going to just put it out there and say, we're going to win gold, but we have enough quality to compete, and I implore everybody to support the girls, to cheer them on, and hopefully they make us really proud in France.
We'll stay optimistic. Thanks so much, IoT, for your time on the show. We'll get you back again some other time. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.
Awesome. That's it. Damilola Onifade, are you going to uplift my spirit, or you will leave me in my clueless state as regards the Super Eagles?
Austin, the Super Eagles is a different kettle of fish compared to the Falcons. I think CAF has done their part by giving us these draws. The next question we should be asking is, what will NFF do? We don't even have a coach. So for me, I think it's premature to start analyzing how we'll do in this group. Let's first have a coach, and then we start talking about this group. We don't have an idea of what the Super Eagles will look like at the moment. But again, you said it. We shouldn't be struggling in this group. But none of us is bold enough to say that we'll run through this group without any problem whatsoever. I mean, we're beginning to struggle at home against the likes of Rwanda. Even when we play the Benin Republic at a neutral ground, we lost.
Let me throw this in. I don't know if Austin is having these thoughts as well. Aside the fact that the bad results, some people say they don't see coaching, but there's a question people are beginning to ask. There's some lethargy. There's some performances that doesn't tally with talent that is obvious to the eyes. So you begin to ask, do some of these players really want to play for the Super Eagles? It's because at this point you really have to. The last time we played, hearing about players coming in on Wednesday, you have a game on Friday. Some of those issues are beginning to come to the fore. If we had won, maybe nobody would say. But that's so. When you talk about this, look. I don't want to talk about the NFF. It's a sad story. The only thing they were doing that we thought they were doing right was with the national team. Any other thing they are not doing. And even the one with the national, they've bungled it and it appears like they are clueless. But let's talk about the players. Because those are the tools you have. Is there something wrong with our selection process? Is it that some of these players would rather break their legs for their teams than do it for the national teams? Is it that they don't know what it is to play for the Super Eagles? These are valid questions.
They are valid questions, Yemi, and very strong questions too. But again, what you don't want to talk about is what you will still go to. Why would somebody want to break his leg for his club? Because there is an organization, there is a structure, and that comes from the top. That comes from the federation in this sense. Even if they are going to respect their code, the federation must make them understand that this is the man we've put there. And when this man says this, is Nigeria that is talking to you, not the individual. And so that must first be there. I mean, we had so many complaints from from the former coach Finidi, just saying that some of these players, he can't even discipline them because they have so many people in the federation that are bigger than him. So why wouldn't you talk about the NFF in that sense? I understand that the players might have their own fault, but if we get a lot of things right, to put the players in check will be easy. Players have always had that tendency to not just Nigerian players, by the way, to permit my use of the word misbehave in parentheses, in quotes, yeah. They've always had that tendency, particularly when they believe they've arrived. But then there's the organization that cut their clips and ensure that they put them in check and ensure they do the right thing. And then you appoint the right coach as well.
All right, so let's move on from that. It's time to talk about football on the domestic scene. Now I'm going to be able to ask that question, whether or not, should he have stayed back a little? Is it right to jump into the fray? Demilola hinted while he was talking. Former Super Eagles coach George Finidi is back, of course, and he is back with Rivers United. He has been unveiled as the coach of the Pride of Rivers. That's pictures from the unveiling at the Sharks Stadium, it is called. And what else can we say? A very swift return. I mean, so like they say in local palace, no time to waste time. A lot of people thought maybe he would sit down for a while, look at it, but he is back in the saddle. Let's take some reactions from that unveiling. Of course, we'll come back to dissect the issue.
For me, just having this love that I've seen this evening, after so many years coming back here, and everybody receiving me this way. I think I just owe them, and that is my commitment and the will to make sure that the team functions. I want to do my best, and I want to win trophies. I don't know how many. I have a 2-year contract, but we'll try and see how the team can play football and hopefully win, and bring back trophies.
Finidi, welcome home. Rivers United, Rivers Angels, Rivers Hoopers, and indeed Rivers United, they deserve the best. Because we are being governed by the best governor in Nigeria, the president of His Excellency, Sir Amoku Senibor, Grand Service Star of Rivers State. And so the best must come to Rivers State. And it is that singular reason that we decided on our own. We didn't think too far because we know that he has come. At the time he came into Nigeria, we allowed him to rest. We allowed him to scramble the length and breadth of this country and to understand the terrain once again before coming for him. What people thought was impossible has now been made possible. And so we decided to bring my protege. We worked together. He was in the same school with me. He attended the same school with me. Open Comprehensive Secondary School. We worked with him in Sharks Football Club of Port Harcourt. And I can tell you, Finidi George is a serial winner. That's right.
So, the unveiling of Finidi George, and of course you listening to some of the stakeholders sharing their minds and wishing the new coach well. All right, so let me get to Austin now as we talk about it. Your thoughts, were you expecting him to sit back a while, ponder on all the things that happened recently? Were you expecting him to get back into football as soon as possible?
Of course, I mean, and my respect for Finidi George, has just increased because he has kept to his words. I had that private conversation with him. I said, look, enough of the talks in the background, ex-internationals, you must come back home to promote football development. I remember I had that conversation with Eddie Dombraye. He came, did his own thing with Lobby Stars. I did that conversation with Finidi George, came, did his thing with Aimba, and right away now he's jumped at a good job with Rivers United. No, there was no need for him to sit back. You cannot have an employer that is not giving you the sort of confidence that you need to work, and then you sit back. He did the right thing by resigning from that position as Super Eagles head coach. Now he's back home because this is good homecoming for him. Finidi George is from Bayelsa State, but because of the ties he's got with Rivers State, there was a time I was even arguing that he's from Rivers State. The legend of Sharks Football Club. By the way, that name was changed to Rivers United. So he knows the history of the team. He said it at the unveiling that he was once a player and that now he's glad that he's returning as a coach of Rivers United. So I think they will do well with Coach Finidi George. I believe he's still an intelligent coach. He's well qualified. And he's got good experience in the bag now. And Rivers United, they need this sort of top manager with his personality to bounce back to reckoning. They won the league 2 seasons ago and then struggled to finish 8th, So with Finidi George's pedigree, hopefully they'll play beautiful football. And this is so good for league football development in Nigeria. Ex-international, stop doing podcasts and be talking. Come and contribute to football development in Nigeria. Come and understand it. Don't stay afar and be talking. Do what Finidi George has done. Do what Eddie Dunbrier has done. Do what Coach Sam Sisiasia in the past did. Do what Ike Shoromu has done. We want to see more of you guys, particularly those that have rich playing experience in Europe, you know. And it was on Finidi George, Barrister Chris Green and Rivers State government. Please, fix your stadium. Fix that stadium. That's the pride of every team, that you've got a good playing, you know, pitch, that your stadium is top. And it's named after a legend. Honor him. Barrister Chris Green, you are a top football administrator. That stadium shouldn't be the way it is. It's part of why Rivers United didn't do so well in the Confederation Cup and CAF Champions League. So you've employed a good coach now. It's like putting makeup on a bride that is not ready to get married. When she comes out there, her expression will show. So if you like, go and bring Pep Guardiola. Fix your stadium. Infrastructure is top-notch. It will help the players perform better.
All right.
Thank you.
I agree. Damilola, your thoughts, even though we have to move on, but your thoughts on recent, recruitment of Finidi to, coach Rivers United?
I think it's the right way to go for him. I don't think he should have stayed back. I mean, if you fall, you rise again. And I see Finidi as a coach still with the
You feel there's no hangover?
I don't think so. I think there's an opportunity for him to keep improving. And no better way to do it but to get into the trenches again and get working.
All right. Okay, so let's spend the few minutes we have left on the show to talk about the European Championships, talk about Euro 2024. All right, so let's look at the fixtures for the quarterfinals. I'm going to go across the screen in a bit. Tomorrow's matches will get our attention. That's what we'll have time to talk about. Spain and Germany. Toni Kroos granted an interview. He says even though he's retiring, but this game will not be his last for Germany. So what he's trying to say is that, look, I'm going to play more games, and that means they will defeat Spain. In his own words, that is. And in my own reckoning, I feel Spain has been the best team in this tournament. So we'll see what happens with that. Then two teams that have not lived up to the hype, that has not lived up to the expectation of people, and someone like me is very happy they're playing each other. So one of them will have to go home, whatever happens. Portugal and France, one of them will go home because it's been an underwhelming performance from these two countries. Damilola, before we yield to Austin quickly, in a minute, if you can, Spain, Germany, Portugal, France.
I would stick with Germany for this one. I think I want the Germans to do well. They are hosting, and I think I've been impressed. They didn't have a good lead up to the Euros, but they've picked up. For Portugal, France, I'm in between. But if you force me to choose, I'll tilt towards France.
Okay. All right. I don't even want to choose. Just one team should go. Spain, Germany, for youth, for balance, and a lot. I'll go with Spain. Never can tell what will happen, but I like the way the Spaniards have played so far. So let's see if Austin has a different opinion.
You know, Yami, the way I am with when big teams play, I just leave it to football. But if there's anything that I've seen from the knockout stage, the fans are beginning to, make the difference. We saw it when Turkey did what they did against Austria. We saw it when the Netherlands also did what they did to qualify for the quarterfinals for the first time in 20 years. The fans are beginning to step up, support their team, make that noise, push them where they need to be pushed. And I think that will be pivotal for the host Germany when they take on Spain. I've been hearing people put pressure on the coach to change his formation. Don't do the 4-2-3-1. Go 4-3-3 like the Spanish team. Just so if it's not broken, don't fix it. The players will step up. They will rise to the occasion because of the stage that we are in with the football. And Germany, they understand what is in this for them. I know how bad they really wanted to win it the last time, but what happened with England happened and they crashed out, in the semis. Now they are hosting. This is the quarterfinals. Win 2 more matches and you're in the final. So they can actually see they're on the path now. It will be very difficult, but as you said, Spain, they've arguably been the best team from the group stage to even the knockout stage. What they just need to do, the Germans, they need to just cut off Rodri from being creative. They should just keep making him work. Let him just keep chasing the ball and doing all the defensive midfield. If you let him get creative and is pushing those balls to Lamine, to Nico Williams, then there'll be problems, you know. So I think that will be the difference for Germany, and that means their midfield must not sleep, they must not blink, just so they can stop Spain from being creative in any way in that midfield. I don't want to start calling names because names can cancel names from each of the teams. So, as I said, football will give us the winner when we're playing this sort of big game, but the host, Germany, they've got the advantage, they've got the fan support, and I think people would love to see Germany still advance at the competition just so it doesn't go drab. But I don't think it will go drab if they crash out. So let the best team win. For France and Portugal, I really don't know. But when you look at this Portuguese team, it's like they've got 9 lives. When they lost the way they did to Georgia, I said, no, this is it. This is it. No, you cannot play this way and expect to go this far at the competition. And then they turned it around, though with the lottery of penalties. But France hasn't stepped up the way they would expect them to. And just because this guy isn't playing the way he should and they're not taking their chances, they are not creating that much. The little that they create, they're not taking it. I really don't know what is wrong with this team because I also think it's a quality team. It's packed with players. And Deschamps has been there enough to know them and how to use them. They were the final of the World Cup. 90% of the team still intact. So I just can't explain what's going on with the French team. But let's see. Portugal, France, they both need to step up. The team that steps up will definitely win it. England, we are looking forward to see what they can do against Switzerland. Yemi, the media, so much pressure on Gareth Southgate and the English team. And look, that's right there. It would be what can just work against England because there's just so much pressure for them to deliver. I think they should learn to take it one game at a time. They weren't so fantastic against Slovakia, but they somehow got the win. So let's see if they will improve against Switzerland and advance at the competition. But the Swiss team, very compact, very useful with the ball. They can execute properly also. They can punish England.
All right. Damilele Onifade, 30 seconds, England. Do you think they will advance to the next round?
They are my favorite to win, so they will.
Oh, I wish we had time. I wish we had time. All right. I guess that's how the cookie crumbles. Austin, we have the time. We have to go.
I like the way Damilele just stayed safe. There's favorites to win. Hopefully the English team will hear that, Damilele Onifade, and because of you, they might just bring it home. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonapan, and in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right. Here in Lagos is a wrap as well. But before we go, I want to thank Damilele Onifade for his time on the show.
Pleasure always.
Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Definitely.
All right. That's the show today. We do hope you've enjoyed everything. We ask you to join us again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.